सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। In the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, the longest chapter is the 18th chapter, which has 78 shlokas, and the second longest is the second chapter, which has 72 shlokas. The schematics of the thought pattern that has been introduced and developed in Bhagavad Gita, in the second chapter, when Bhagavan starts speaking, Bhagavan introduces all the possible concepts that which can immediately uplift Arjuna from the kind of depths of despondency that he had pulled himself into. And we see the effect that as soon as he heard about 50 shlokas, Arjuna was ready to discuss that which was introduced as Sthita Prajna Lakshana and ask poignant questions. So you see the effect of it. But that which has been introduced in the second chapter, Bhagavan does a good justice to this by elaborating on the concepts introduced in the second chapter further down from the 3rd to the 17th chapter. In the 18th chapter, Bhagavan finally consolidates all the thought that is being presented in the 18th chapter. So the beauty of this is when you try completing the 701 shlokas, you get a revision of the concept at least 3 times. Once in the second chapter, elaborated through the chapters, and then consolidated finally again in the 18th chapter. So the reason why I went at length in all the concepts in the second chapter, because this will form our foundational basis of all the concepts that have to be given. Henceforth, that we get into the 3rd, 4th and the rest of the chapters, I can always refer to the shloka. Second chapter, this particular shloka, this concept, this idea that was introduced, and there, if you have written notes or follow on the YouTube, you can quickly go and check the concepts that we have at length discussed. But the beauty is the upakrama and upasamhara, the beginning and the end, to maintain the thought pattern consistently on that very subject without losing thought to any other deviations. That is the beauty of these scriptural expositions. So we are coming to the way end of the Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, where yesterday we stopped. Tasmadyasya mahabaho nigrihitani sarvashah indriyanindriyarthebhyah tasya prajna pratisthita. After having explained the different layers in which our human system works, there are organs of action. Subtler than the organs of action are the organs of perception. A little more subtler than and more efficient is the mind. A little subtler than the mind is the buddhi. And the buddhi is the one that has to be strengthened. Because buddhi is the guiding factor. Without the buddhi being the guiding factor, it will become very difficult. Therefore, in the olden days when we were scolded, whether it is Hindi or Telugu, especially our well-wishers and parents, and we do something very dumb, very silly. So we were scolded in Telugu, Buddhi gaddi tindaniki ellinda. In Hindi, it was दिमाग क्या घास चरने गया था. The insistence is on the buddhi. Why? Buddhi should be the guiding factor. Buddhi should be strengthened from within. So the shloka previous to this, there Bhagavan had said that he had said, Nasti buddhira yuktasya nacha yuktasya bhavana nacha bhavayata shantihi ashantasya kuta sukham. This is in the 66th shloka. That if the buddhi is not strengthened by acquiring a steady mind, buddhi has two effects of it. One, the effect of jnana, and the second is the application of viveka. Now, if the buddhi is not strengthened and steadied, then there is no progress in that individual's life. And buddhi can be accessed only when there is an amount of peace that which our mind can abide in, sit in. And it has to be practiced. This is not that I was born like this, my mind is like this only, I don't want, I cannot change. Everybody can change their mind provided they are applying it diligently. And what should be the standpoint? That the mind should be taken towards dukkha nivritti. Then the mind has become quiet. In that quietude, the buddhi can acquire viveka and jnana. Application of this viveka and jnana will take us to the bhavana, meaning meditation. And then you will find shanti and sukha. Shanti and thereafter sukha. Now once this whole schematics is explained, Bhagavan was concluding in the last shloka, 68th shloka, he says, Tasmat, therefore. It almost feels like, mathematical equations. For the abbreviated way of writing, we would always put 3 dots. Remember? So, Tasmat, Bhagavan has drawn the conclusion, having given all the logic. Tasmat yasya mahabaho nigrihitani sarvashaha. All the organs of perception action should be under our accessible control. Indriyani indriyarthebhyah. Where should I get that access from of these organs of perception and action? They usually love indulging in the outside field of indriya bhoga vastu. And it is not that you have taken a decision and the indriyas will fall in line. Don't be in that kind of wrong expectations from yourself. Just because I have understood it, it doesn't mean that my mind will immediately fall in line. It has to be a very rigorous but a slow process of gathering these 10 organs into a balanced control. Shanai Shanai Uparamet Buddhya Dhriti Grihitaya. The buddhi, when strong, that strong buddhi now has to apply itself through the mind and gather these organs of perception action into one comprehensive position so that they don't become deterrents. They don't lose out all the energy that we are endowed with. Usually, if there is one small crack in the pot, the water doesn't fill in the pot. This holy pot has how many holes? Navadvare Pure Dehi. There are 9 holes, and none of the hole has a sentinel standing, a security standing, which will evaluate what is going out and what is coming in. See, at the ashram, in the entrance, there is a security. In the buildings, high-rise, what do you call? Gated communities, right. The word that was coming in my head was closed communities. No, gated communities. So the gated communities, there is a very strict, security. Who goes and they have to write down their numbers, write down their car or vehicle number. We pay such keen attention. But that where it is very much important, which is inside our own, we don't pay attention. Anything coming, anything can go in, anything can come out. Because we never paid attention to it. So, Shanaihi Shanaihi Uparamet. Slowly, slowly withdraw all of these from the outside. And dealing with yourself. The same technology works. When you're dealing with your children, what is the technology? Sama, Dana, Danda, Bheda. The same thing works with ourselves also. Sometimes you have to be pampering it. Sometimes you have to be tampering with it. Sometimes disciplining it. Sometimes sitting down and explaining the reasons. Ena kena prakarena. Whatever works, one should apply those different techniques to draw these organs of perception action from the outside field to inside. Such that when I command, they can go outside. When I command, they come back. Now we are such amazing human mindset that the other animals which are supposed to be wild in nature, we seem to have controlled them. Growing up, there used to be a circus, Gemini circus. Have you been to that circus? There used to be tigers, there used to be elephants, there used to be horses. I'm sure if you would have gone to a circus show. Whenever we went to the village, outskirts of the village, there was a huge lake. It was supposed to be a lake long time ago. Now it was like an open ground. That is where we would play cricket, soccer, football, whatever. That ground would be occupied by this Gemini circus. And we would go there at least 2-3 times during the summer holidays. And there was no other better entertainment than that. Surprising, that fellow will put his head in the tiger's mouth and then pull his head out. The tiger doesn't do anything. I don't know if you have ever come across the tiger face to face. It is a huge beast. The very presence of it will bring shivers. It is gigantic. You go to the Gir forest in Gujarat. Lions and tigers, you will get to see them on the road as you are traveling. Has anybody been to Gir forest? Oh, Rama. You've seen? You've seen. See, it will be lying on the road. And they take you in that, the 10-seater auto, hot pot. And you're sitting out there in open. I was the tall brahmachari. They put me closer to the exit of that auto. And the rest of them were comfortably sitting inside. मेरे तो पसीने छूट गए थे. Like a whole bunch of them lying down. And when it stands up, now that kind of a tiger has been tamed, ordered to stand with its front foot on the stool. Having put its front foot on the stool, now this fellow gets in, puts his head inside and takes his head out, pats it, thanks it and walks. So seen this 2-3 times. So one day, in summer holidays, we would be quite a few number of cousins, about 30-40 cousins. So we would all be given that 4 annas, 25 paise. Because that would cost about 10-15 paise, and the rest of it is for whatever mungfali that you want to buy. In 25 paise, our entertainment was ensured. So we went there. One of us looked at the back of the tents, the Gemini tent. There were the cages where these tigers and elephants, they were housed. Kids. So one of them very challengingly looked at the rest of us and said, "Who among us can go pull the tail of that tiger?" Because from the cage, the tail portion was hanging out. Whoever does it, should we now collect whatever the 10 paisa was there? 35-40 of us. It's quite a good amount of money in those days. We will pool all of it and that money will be theirs. और क्या था? I went. The deal was to touch the tail and come. Touched. Now have a brimming confidence. Now that I have touched it. It was lying. It must have been tired. It was lying. What did I do? I pulled it. That fellow turned with such, rapid speed. It was still in the cage. The cage was secure. And it roared. All of us that day did not go inside we all came running back. And by that time I reached home, which must be about 15-20 minute walk. The fear that tiger had set in me, I already had fever. And the parents, grandparents and everybody, जाते समय तो ठीक थे. Now you are coming back with fever, what happened? Everybody is tight-lipped. Nobody wants to share. करके क्या आए थे? शेर की पूंछ. Just letting you know that though they look like very tamed, they are still very ferocious. We have tamed tigers. We have tamed and taught tricks to the elephants. Those whales. There are those shows in US where they have captured, not dolphins, the whales. There are both. In the same ocean park, there is a whale and there is the dolphins. Dolphins are timid. Whales are ferocious. Now this fellow plays with those whales. We have come to that point wherein we now can teach tricks to the whale. That individual, that human being which can tame the dogs, tame the tigers, tame the elephant, tame the whales, cannot tame our mind. In Vijayawada, there was a house. It was very amusing. Usually, they write a sign of warning: beware of dogs. This was a unique house. I knew that person. It said, beware not only of the dogs, but of their master as well. The dog was sleeping, it's like a cartoon. The dog was sleeping, and the owner was shown screaming and angry. They had these Alsatian dogs, 3 of them. So I entered, as I was still a brahmachari, I entered. By that time I could close the gate. I turn around, these Alsatians are almost to my chest height. 3 of them with their tongues out and intensely looking at me. See, after becoming a brahmachari and a swami, I have never missed wearing pants, shorts or other kinds of clothes. That was the only day when I thought, wish I was in pants and not in lungi. I would have easily scaled the gate. I was LBW, lungi before the wicket, out. And that who was the owner, he calls out loud. All these things, all these 3 dogs meticulously turn around. I walk up to that person. He threw something for them to eat on the floor. They were intensely looking at that food that was on the floor. Until he ordered them to eat, they did not even touch. Their mouth was salivating. It was dripping. But until the order was given, they would not touch. What a control. If that is possible, that the wild can be tamed, can the mind not be tamed? One has to pay that much amount of effort to discipline oneself so that one can reap the best of the benefit of this mind that we are blessed with. The mind that which we have is not a curse. It is a blessing, provided it is in our accessible control. Therefore, Bhagavan says the first step is, please control your organs of perception and action. To such one who has the control over all these layers, organs of action, organs of perception, mind and intellect, in absolute control and balance, tasya prajna pratisthita. Such one has the equanimous intellect through which they see everything undisturbed. A confusing analogy is given. In the 69th shloka, repeat after me, page 359. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagarti samyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pasyato munehe. Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutana, that which is night for all the people. Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutana. Tasyam Jagrati Samyami. Jagarti Samyami. For this individual who has gathered that control within, balance within, for them, that which is night for others, for them it is an awakened moment. Jagarti Samyami. And that which the individuals like us are awakened or awake to, they are completely dark to that. It is night for them. The first time I read this shloka, I thought a man of realization is like the night watchman. When everybody sleeps, he is awake. And when he is awake, everybody else is sleeping. What does it mean? No, we are not talking about the night watchman or the security. Our minds are constantly running to that waking world of objects which distract our mind through the organs of perception and action. Now that they have gathered enough control on their own minds, on their own organs of perception action, they do not run to that which you and I constantly go and indulge in. And what they have now been awakened to, for us, it is total ignorance. We are asleep to that tattva. Seems very complicated. Gurudev very beautifully explains this. He says, we all dream. We all get kicked out of our dream as well. How far is the waking from a dreamer? When you go to visit other lands, supposing you go to Chardham Yatra, Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri, Yamunotri, it's a lot of effort. You have to go from here all the way there, visit, come. Supposing you go to foreign lands, other countries. From here, you have to go, fly, reach all the way. Lucky, we don't have to take a ship. In the earlier days, in 60s or up until the mid 60s, people would go in ship and it would be about 25-30 days for them to reach. At least at that time, the Strait of Hormuz was not blocked for them. They could go. It is time and distance different. If you come back from US or Canada, when you travel, when you come back, the first 5 to 6 days, you cherish something beautiful called jet lag. Such solid sleep. You wake up by 2:30 in the morning. By the time it is 3:34 in the evening, you have to pin your eyelids up because your eyes are shutting down. People are speaking, you know they are speaking to you, but nothing of what they are talking makes sense to you. Palle nahi pad raha andar. Why? You are completely withdrawn into that dense sleep. So there is an effort to go from here to there. How far or how much effort is required for a dreamer to come to the waking world? Is something that has to be prepared, generated, created. As soon as you get out of that dream world, you are in the waking. So Gurudev says, as far is the dreamer from the waking, that far is the waker from his awakened state. Meaning not that far away. One angle of perspective to look at. Second perspective, have you ever had an opportunity or in a situation wherein you had to search for your own eyeglasses while it is still on your own face? Have you ever? Sometimes people put, when they have the chatvara, the bifocal, they put their reading glasses up here and they're searching. I have to read now, where are they? They're right here. How much effort was it required to know, recognize that it was always there? Not much. But how, intensely we were searching for it. In fact, my search is possible and I can see clearly because the glasses are already there. Without which that clarity will not be there. And yet, I do not recognize that those glasses have always been on my nose only. At that moment when somebody comes and points out, "Kya dhoond rahe ho? What are you searching?" My glasses. I tell you, people don't leave things when I keep there. They always move things away. And your grandkid is looking at you and saying, "Dadaji, wahin pe to hai. It is right on your nose." At that moment when you recognize that the glasses are on your nose itself, how do you feel? Humbled. It is right here. How did I not recognize it? How did I end up missing? Right? It is that clear is this state of realization. But caught up in our own way of life, in our own mindsets, that which is obvious, that which is very much there always, we end up not recognizing it. That man of realization has been awakened to this state which is always there. It is not an end result or a product of a certain karma that leads you towards realization. If the example is understood, now let us get into the Siddhanta aspect of it. Realization is not a result of a certain karma being performed. Why can the realization not be the result of karma being performed? Anything that which is done as karma, the result of it has a certain start point. Anything that which has a start point will have an end point. It will perish. All that which we produce out of our karma, all the results, none of them are permanent. Isn't it? It doesn't stay permanent. Karma also can do that. An existing format of certain thing can be morphed into a different format. When you curdle the milk, usually it is done at night. You warm that milk to a certain room temperature and then you add the yogurt culture, the curd culture. Having added it, now without disturbing, you keep it in a corner. By morning, that which was milk has now transformed into curd. Lactic has changed into lactobacillus. It has changed. Karma can transform. So me being this jiva, transforming into a realized one, can it be the result of the karma? There is no transformation happening, because even when you have not realized your own true nature, you have always been that. Only thing that you are not recognizing yourself of what you are always. So there is no morphing or changing that is happening. You are just recognizing. Recognize that word. Recognizing. In the self-forgetfulness, I have not been identifying myself as my true nature. Cognition, to know. Now I have come to know my own true nature. So it is not a product of karma. Under the umbrella of karma, you can take all the spiritual activities that we do. They come under the umbrella of karma only. Puja, is it a karma? Yes or no? Japa, is it a karma? Definitely japa, you are chanting, so there is karma. Manana, contemplation, that also is a karma. Dhyana, is it a karma? That also is a karma. Therefore, anything that you do as karma, the self-realization cannot be the result of karma. Now I connect this shloka back to the 47th shloka. This chapter, 47th shloka, what was the shloka? Karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Second chapter, 47th shloka. Karmani eva adhikaraha te ma phaleshu kadachana. The phala that we are anticipating can never be the result of karma. The sense of happiness that I am anticipating, that sense of happiness can never be the result of karma. Ma phaleshu kadachana. It can never be that karma phala. Even meditation is not something that will yield moksha. Or Atma Sakshatkara cannot be the result of meditation. Now, if moksha has to be understood, bondage has to be understood properly. Bondage is called ajnana. Very simple word. Ajnana meaning ignorance of my own true nature. I am not recognizing my true nature. I have come to know my own true nature. At this point, I am not aware of it. Ajnana. How can ajnana be removed? Ajnana timirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurun militam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Ajnana can be removed only by jnana, just like darkness can be removed only by light. Supposing I get into a cave, and that cave which nobody knew there was a cave. When you light a matchstick, when you light a lamp, supposing it was dark for the last 10,000 years, does it take 10,000 years for that darkness to go away? No, right? As soon as you light the lamp, all the darkness goes away. One day it's a very subtle concept, and I was trying to teach this concept to 6th, 7th, 8th grade children. In their language, I was trying to communicate it. After a certain while, one fellow raises his hand. He says, Swamiji, you said, wherever there is light, there cannot be darkness. So he extends his hand. There is light, and now here you see the shadow, which means there is darkness. You said, wherever there is light, there cannot be darkness. I have shown both to you. Glad that he was thinking on the right lines. But the reference point was not very clear in that kid's understanding. He was standing outside reference from both light and darkness. If you are under the hand, you will not have light, you will have only darkness. Am I getting across? The very concept that it is dark, meaning something is blocking light. If it is not blocking, like when you go to the operation room, the operation theaters, they have this huge, is there a technical word for that lamp, huge lamp that is there on the operation table? Headlight. That is one amazing engineering that they have done. It throws light from all possible angles that the one who is doing the surgery, there are no shadows possible. Am I right? I'm asking the doctors. Because if I am under those lights, I have never seen those lights because I am already knocked out. I am already under anesthesia. But whatever I have seen the documentaries on it, they say it has been arranged in such a way that there cannot be any shadow. Meaning it covers all possible angles, that every angle of it is throwing light. That there is no possibility of shadow. That where there is light, there cannot be. Sir, if I may request, please turn your cell phones off. You will be a disturbance to others. Thank you. If you want, you can go outside and talk. Thank you. So the aspect where that darkness can be removed, now I'm little thinking out of the box. Can you remove that darkness with any other source other than light? Because sometimes we hear people say, traditional ways of life is such bad. Now we want to invent newer techniques. Traditionally, we have seen that darkness is removed only with light. Different sources of light, but light. So, zara hat ke sochenge. Can you remove it with any other means other than light? Can you have an industrial sized vacuum and suck all the darkness out? Can it suck the darkness out? Dark patches on the cloth can be removed with bleach. Again, industrial level bleaching agent. You bring and spray in the darkness. Suddenly the darkness will vanish. It doesn't happen. The only way that the darkness can be removed is through light. There is no other way. Clear? Understood? Therefore we chant Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya. That the darkness of ignorance can be removed only through jnana. No other method can remove this darkness of ignorance. Jnanat evatu kaivalyam. Reaching to this highest state of being in a realized state, it is by jnana. Jnana, knowing that which I have forgotten. You are already it, but you have never known that you are it. So there are several stories in the Puranic literature. If there was a king and the king had a child, and the ministers and the cousins of this king were jealous of the king and did not want his kingdom to go to his child, so they abduct the child, and the child is given for contract killing. And that fellow, when he saw the child in all its innocence, did not feel like killing, left that child in some remote corner of the forest. And once after 15-20 years, the king and the queen were going into that area, and there was this fellow that was on the side of the road. The queen sees something and immediately stops the chariot because she recognizes. What does she recognize? The birthmark on the right hand shoulder. A very unique birthmark. And then they identify the person that was given this contract killing. That fellow is brought, and then he says, no, I did not kill at that time. I had left him in the forest, and then that birthmark, he also. Now this child who has now come back to the palace, he has been told, you are the king to be. But bechare, for whoever raised him, they died and he lived in poverty. He used to beg from house to house. All amazing comforts that which a royal prince should have are provided, but doesn't feel comfort in it. The fresh food, the fresh fruits, amazing bed to sleep, there is no comfort in it. After everybody leaves and closes the door, then he rushes to pull a corner, hard floor, because that is what he has been used to. He refuses to find sleep in the bed. And because he has been acclimatized to constantly beg food from different houses, so he goes to, in that very room there are several windows, he keeps each katori of food in that window and then acts as though he is begging in front of each window, and then mixes everything into one plate, one jumble, and then sits down in the corner again and eats. Why? Sitting on the table, eating in that comfort, it feels very awkward. It takes time for that fellow to recognize and start believing in himself that he is the royal prince. This is what the scriptures, the gurus have been telling us. You are it already. But then, this concept never hits home. It never reaches the proper understanding. Supposing I ask this question, try this as a good experiment. Who are you? Right? We are about 40, 50 people. If there is a volunteer that comes here and all 40 of us ask you the same question. What is the question? Who are you? You have to come up with 40, 50 different answers for each person that asks you that question. What would we usually normally start with when somebody asks, who are you? You will tell your name. For the next, you will say, I am, you will reveal your gender, male, female. Then you will connect with being young or old. Then you will connect with the attributes. I am thin, I am tall, I am short, I am fat, I am black, I am white. Attributes of the body. I am son of so and so, wife of so and so, husband of so and so, mother of so and so. You will go into relations. Because after a certain point, when you have to give new answers, you can only give, you will be amazed. After 3 to 5 answers that you have given, you start getting stuck. How do I define that which I imagine myself to be as somebody great? I cannot go past 5 definitions as to who I am, how I can define myself. Then I go into patterns of relationships, patterns of attributes, because that can be repeated efficiently. Now, are these answers which are given wrong answers? No, they are not wrong. Are they complete? Because if I have to get the answer from you, which is your name, what should my specific question be? What is your name? But the question asked is, who are you? What do we end up answering? We are answering to a different question paper. The asked question paper is, who are you? What do I answer? My name. What should the question for that be? What is your name? But that is not the question asked. Then they say, I am a human being. What should the specific question be to get that answer? What species are you? Homo sapien, also known as human being. But that was not the question asked. It was, who are you? If somebody says, I am a man, so what should be the question for that? What is your gender? Actually, even asking gender is not the right question. The right question is, what is your sex? Male, female is the sex. So what is your sex? Male, female. But what is the question asked? Who are you? The point being, all these answers are correct and yet not complete. I am something that supports all these answers and yet not limited by these answers. I am something much more than, much beyond than the answers given. Isn't it true? Then who exactly are you? Identified with the body, I say, I am this body. Identified with my emotions, I say, whatever is that content of that emotion at that time. If the content of that mind at that point was a happy emotion, I say, I am glad. If it was some misery, say, I am sad. If it is irritation, I am bad. If it is heights of anger, I am mad. Different emotions, glad, bad, mad, sad, all of these are identified with the emotions, which is the mind. Identified with the intellect, different aspects of identities. I am sharp. I am intelligent. Usually I am intelligent, but now that it is coming to close to 8 o'clock, I am a little dull. What are these attributes of the intellect which I am identifying myself to be? If the knife that I am using to cut the vegetable is dull, do I claim that I am dull? Am I getting across? The knife is dull, so what do I say? The equipment that I am using is dull. I do not conclude that I am dull. In that same context, today's cell phones are also called as smartphone. Just because I have smartphone, do I become smart? These are the attributes of the instrument. The body can be tall, short, thin, fat, white, brown, black, yellow, whatever be the color of the skin. Before all these matrimonial sites were there, in the newspaper they used to advertise about the groom or the bride. I'm talking about 25-30 years ago. People, when they are dark, they would not define themselves as black. Those who are brown would not define. हिंदी में आ रहा है मुझे जैसे गेहूं जैसे सावला, wheatish complexion. And if they are really dark wheatish complexion. बोलेंगे नहीं कि काले हैं. Dark wheatish, reddish complexion, to say that they are black. Whatever you identify, it is the attribute of the body. Emotions are the attributes of the mind. Ideas and concepts are the attributes of the intellect. But then identified with all these things, I, the individual, the ahankara, lives as though I am all these equipments and their borrowed identities. Am I getting across? Right? First and foremost step to understand, I am not the instrument or the attributes of the instrument. That is the quality, that is the attribute of that instrument, not my quality. Now comes the subtler part. What is the subtler part? Who is it that is identifying? What is it that is identifying with these layers? An immediate common answer that you can get is, I am identifying. Who is that I? We call that I as the ego, ahankara. Therefore, when somebody thinks that they are very beautiful, very pretty, very smart, very intelligent, and they display that I am very beautiful. I know that I am beautiful. If they carry that air about themselves, what do we say? వీడికి వాడి సౌందర్యం మీద అహంకారం ఎక్కువైంది. అహంకార, that who is identifying. Up until now we talked about the instruments and their attributes, that which I am not. That which is identifying is the ego, which is ahankara, one has to understand what that ahankara is. Pay close attention. Because I'm trying to define it in the most easier format so that we are not lost in technicalities. Each person, having taken the input at the physical level, at the emotional level, at the intellectual level, all the different capacities and the attributes of each level, I gather all the information about myself and then visualize myself to be of a certain form and claim that visualized form as I. Therefore, that word aham kara, kara means shape. A sum of all the things that I am identified with, the shape that I have visualized myself to be, that is called ahankara. Was this easy? Yes, no? Easy? Okay. It is not just the body, mind and intellect. It is also the identity with all the assets that I own. You know the famous dialogue from दीवार, याद है? मेरे पास गाड़ी है, बंगला है, तेरे पास क्या है? No, I'm not asking the answer. You remember the dialogue? So what is the identity there? The house that I have, the neighborhood that that house belongs to. Pride about that house, that neighborhood, the kind of vehicle that I drive, the kind of phone that I carry. We unnecessarily blame the children saying they have peer pressure. We are no better. We also have the same peer pressure. The only difference being, for them it starts at that age. We unintelligently carry it forward. Even as though being an adult, we carry that peer pressure. The kind of phone I carry, the kind of clothes that I wear, all of this becomes a definition. Hairstyle also becomes a definition. That is why as soon as we go to the Vedanta course as a brahmachari, first thing that is knocked out is the hair. Even in the military when they join, what is the first thing that they do? There is no hair stylist. In fact, that very cut is called, in Telugu there is a very funny word. They call it dippa cutting. You see the skin underneath. There is a machine mode. It's a mowing machine. There is no hairstyle because that identity also has to be removed. The one who identified with all these layers and attributes defines himself or herself to be all these attributes put together. The shape that I take of myself. When it pleases me, I say I am with a positive mindset. When it doesn't please me, I call it as a negative mindset. Identified with all these things. The very nature of this ahankara, I'm going in next step of analysis and understanding. The very nature of this ahankara is, it has the airs of, it thinks, I know everything. As soon as the child crosses the threshold of being balavastha, meaning they have stepped into teenage. How do you recognize that your child has become a teenager? They have this arrogant attitude. What is that arrogant attitude? I call that attitude as IKEA. I know everything already. मेरे को सब मालूम है. Guruji used to say, this son who was just turning into a teenager he started misbehaving and doing all things wrong. So father wanted to correct him. So he goes to his room, father goes to the son's room. He says, son, I need to talk to you some things about life. And the son, without even looking at the father, says, that's okay, dad. Pull a chair. Tell me what is your problem. मतलब क्या, मेरे को प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, तेरे को प्रॉब्लम है. I am problem free. I know everything anyway. Knowing, having a lot of strength, all these aspects, they are borrowed from various layers, and it claims as though it is its nature. And the funny thing is, we are so identified with all these layers and have the pride of being that ahankara. Any of these layers are looked down upon by anybody outside. There is a deep sense of pinch that we feel right here. Something is deeply hurt. You are invited, but you are not even given a chair to sit. Ego is hurt. Why? I was not given the value that I think I am valued for, I am worth for. Now, what is the nature of this ego also? The nature of ego is that entity, because it has the habit of borrowing all these attributes, essentially has borrowed the actual nature of the self within and behaves in this world as though it is its own nature. What is the nature of the self? The nature of the self is knowledge, which is Chaitanya. The nature of that is existence, the existential reality, and Ananda. That Satchit Ananda, when it reflects in the Antakarana, identified with that Sukshma Sharira, identified with it, instantly there is that identified entity which we call it as Jivatma, Ahankara, individuality, various names. I am consciously not using the word soul. See, up until I was in India, using that word soul didn't make much of a difference. But I went to US, that is when I realized that word is a very Abrahamic word and it has its own baggage. Because in the Abrahamic sense, it is only the human that have a soul and a life. All the other creatures and plants and animals, they have life but no soul. Is that our definition of Jivatma? No. Therefore, from then on, the moment I understood what is the actual meaning of soul in the Abrahamic context, I stopped using the word soul. Am I making sense? Okay. I call it Jivatma, individuality, which expresses forth and interacts with the world as Ahankara. It is a layer of convenience that I am identified with. All that I have to do is disidentify from it and identify to my true nature, that which I already am. So the person of realization is that individual who now has been awakened to his true nature by disidentifying from that which is not my nature. And it is not a difficult task. But constantly my abhyasa has been that I am this body, I am this emotion, I am this. Therefore, the abhyasa has to be that rigorous to undo all of this. This person has now awakened to his true nature. Now, having said that, reaching here to the state of realization, how does it feel? So the next shloka says, the meter is a little different, so please pay attention. Apuryamana pratishtham samudramapah pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sashanti mapnoti nakamakami. This state of realization is compared to the oceans. See, in English, we use two words. One is ocean, the other is sea. What is the difference between an ocean and a sea? Sea is usually that which is shallow, whereas ocean is that which is deep. The depth is higher. All the waters of all the rivers in the entire world, they come and merge into that ocean. Glass mein, when you add pani, to a certain point you can add, having added to that point which, when you add anything more, what will happen? It will start overflowing. Now the ocean is a very amazing mass of water, wherein several gallons of lakhs of gallons of water keeps getting dumped into that ocean. And yet, the ocean absorbs everything without having any kind of change in it. It absorbs everything. Apuryamanam achala pratishtham samudram apaha. Immense amount of water converging into that ocean, still it remains steady without any change. Achala pratishtham. Similarly, for the one that is established already in the self within, all these little joys of the world that which we run after, if you add all of this together, that which that individual is already cherishing has included all these things and much more. The same concept is taken in Taittiriya Upanishad, where they try to quantify happiness. Yuvat syat sadhu yuvat dhyayakaha ashishto durishto balishtaha tasyeyam prithivi sarva vittasya purnasyat. So they are taking a supposition. What is the supposition? A very healthy, young, robust individual has all the intelligence, has all the knowledge that has to be learnt, and he is married to a very beautiful, pious wife. He has amazing wealth, amazing house, amazing workers. He has a good business established. There is a good in, there is a good out. Everything is going smooth. That is in the materialistic sense, all that which we aim for. Upanishad is talking this language. If you quantify this to be X amount of happiness, for that individual who is reveling in that self. All of this and much more is already included. This means nothing for them. This X amount of happiness, they call it as Manusha Ananda, a human's Ananda. Then the Pitruloka Ananda, tenfolds. Then the Gandharva Loka Ananda, tenfolds of Pitruloka Ananda. Then the Deva Gandharva, theirs is from the Gandharva 10 times more. Meaning from the Manava Ananda, it is at least 100 times. So like this they keep building and they go all the way to Brahmaji. Now you can imagine the 10 to the power of what Brahmaji's Ananda will be. Even that seems infinitesimally small for the one that has realized, because nothing of this can dent and make an impact on the one that is reveling in the Ananda, which is their own true nature. And how steady are they? Just like the ocean waters merge into the ocean, it remains steady without any chanchalatva. That is how this individual stays in that state of happiness, joy unlimited. Tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve shashantimapnoti na kama kami. Such one alone who has established in Shanti reaches to that Ananda, not the one that is entertaining desires after desires after desire. Therefore, it is called Kama. In English vocabulary, punctuation marks, there is something called comma. Comma means there is something afterwards. Our desires are like that, comma. Therefore, it is called Kama. एक से बस नहीं होता है. It keeps continuing. None of these desires and their fulfillment is a match to the one that has established himself in that nature within. Now, if you are getting that unlimited happiness right within as your source, what should be our focus? Outside or inside? A little louder. You said it. I prompted the question, but you said it. That it should be the inside. Tricky is our mind that as soon as you step out of this threshold of the temple, what becomes important? With conviction, I go back into the world to create layers of happiness and anticipation through the world that it should give me that happiness. Meaning what? Words meant something, but it did not leave lasting impact because we have not processed it enough to own this knowledge as my own wisdom. Therefore, having said the grandeur of that experience, Telugulo cheppare yatavata em cheppadalchukunnam. Where should I begin? That is given in the 71st shloka. Vihaya kaman yasarvan pumamscharati nispruhaha nirmamo nirahankaraha sashantimadigacchati. This is all the 18 shlokas of Sthita Prajna Lakshana. If the concise format, synopsis has to be given, what is the entire idea of these 18 shlokas? That is given in the 71st shloka. What is the idea? First step, Vihaya Kaman Sarvan. drop all the unnecessary entertainment of all these desires. I'll add a little layer of bhakti in this jnana, in this wisdom. We come to Bhagavan and we say, Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva, tvameva bandhuscha sakha tvameva, tvameva vidya dravidam tvameva, tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. You are my very father, mother, friend, bandhu, sakha, everything. When we send our children out into the world, say, for a day trip, picnic or somewhere, don't we pack everything that they may encounter as a necessity and more and give them enough? Yes or no? See, I don't have an experience. I am just visualizing that you might be doing it from my own experience of having been a kid. So I'm just asking, because you have that experience, you will have to confirm. So do you send your children? Do you give, if the school has not specified, do you give an extra little amount just in case? Also keep their cell phone charged and ready to be used in case of emergency. You will ensure that they are provided for in all possible aspects for that experience. Now when we say that Bhagavan himself is our Mata, Pita, Bandhu, Sakha, everything, do you think he would have sent us without giving us enough? That I have to constantly go remind him, Bhagavan, I have taken that sankalpa, Pujari gave, Mamopata, Samasta Durtaksha Dwara, Samasta. In that there was specifically my sankalpa. Dhana, Vastu, Vahana, Kanaka, Ayuhu, Arogya, my sankalpa. I have been reminding you, this is my third Monday that I came to you. And still I don't see a difference. That is why I call Bhagavan as Apara Karunamaya. I'll tell you why. If your child comes to you every single moment, every single day, morning, afternoon, evening, and keeps reminding you, Mom, Dad, remember, right? You have to take care of me. You have to provide good food in the morning, good food in the lunch, good food in the... When the child has just started speaking and behaving a little smart, you also feel, apne pe gaya hai, to smart lagta hai. But you are constantly naggingly repeating, as a parent, what will be your reaction? ఇంకోసారి ఈ మాట అన్నామంటే గుమ్మానికి తలకిందలు వెళ్ళాడదు. I will hang you upside down if you act smart. Do you mean to say I don't know how to take care of you? You get irritated or not? Yes, no. In spite of we coming to Bhagavan and trying to tell him what he should do in taking care of us, he still is providing without getting angry. Is it not his karuna? Not having this faith, trust in Bhagavan, we keep entertaining desires after desires after desires. Loka kalyanartham, you make sankalpa and do whatever that benefits the world, that is different. Invent, discover lot of things you do, there is nothing wrong. Personally, that desire-oriented lifestyle, vihaya kaman sarvan. Do we have the courage to drop these desires? Because I have firm faith that Bhagavan will take care. Think through. I come and sing every single day. Jai Jagadish Hare, Swami Jai Jagadish Hare. You give everything, you are the karta, dharta, bharta, everything, you have been taking care. You sing. Do we really mean when we sing it? If I really mean, do I really have to go and remind him, Bhagavan, please take care of me? Therefore, the best sankalpa during puja is Vishnoho Prityartham idam aham karishye. Done. Shiva Prityartham idam aham karishye. Nothing to ask. We don't need to insult him and his great prowess by saying, I have something to ask. That is what Prahlada says to Bhagavan Narasimha. Bhagavan, me asking you is like insulting you. Why should I ask? You have already provided for. Vihaya kamanya sarvan. Pumans charati nispruhaha. Untempted by the worldliness, they roar in this world as sher. The most fierce sher, Babbar sher. Royally they roam into this world, knowing that nothing of that worldliness can contaminate me or corrupt me. To have that kind of a disposition is truly being free and enjoying freedom. No hidden agendas, no burden that you are carrying, nothing to gain, nothing to lose from this world. Pumams charati nispruhaha. Swami, this seems very idealistic. How can I reach them? Nirmamaha nirahankaraha. Without mamata ahanta. Be in this world, perform without ahankara, without mamakara. That which is there accumulated around me as my things for comfort, they will be there as long as that prarabdha lasts. As soon as that prarabdha is done, that will be gone. Recently, I was in a sadhu samaj. About 10, 12 of us did not actually plan to be in that sadhu samaj. It just happened that all 10 from 10 different institutions, organizations, we gathered in one place. So I was meeting them for the first time. So the person who already knew me was introducing. And he is also a sadhu. He said, Swamiji, ये अमेरिका में सब रह के आया है, फ्लाइट में सब घूम के आया है. So that Swamiji looks at me and said, he has that sukha prarabdha. It will be there as long as that prarabdha lasts, and once that is done, that will also go away. It's so beautifully put, simply put, that you don't have to struggle for it. If it is there, it will come. And once that prarabdha is done, it will go. You don't have to stake a claim on it, mine. There's nothing. You come empty-handed, you go empty-handed. When Alexander died and he was about to die after having, come to the Indian borders, he realized one thing, because he had amassed enough number of wealth and people and assets. All the way from Greece till India, the entire segment. If he were there today, US would not have the courage to do what it is doing in the Middle East. Because he would have been the single owner of the entire thing, entire stretch. Having gained it, on his deathbed realized, nothing of what I have acquired I can carry forward into the next world. I have to leave everything back. So he informed his immediate lieutenants that in the coffin that you carry to burn me, drill 2 holes, put my both hands through the coffin out, showing the people that I carry nothing to this pyre. My hands are empty. But his people had seen him ruthlessly rule. they misunderstood it and said, look at this fellow, he is dead and he is still asking for more. Nothing of what we have can never be claimed as mine. Few generations ago, this land was somebody else's. Before that, some other king, some other, constantly it has been moving hands. It has never been anybody's. Nirmamaha nirahankaraha sashantim adhigacchati. The one who can easily understand the game of these desires, attachments with mamakara and ahankara, and grows out of this, such one is guaranteed of this higher state, which is reaching my own true nature within. Therefore, Arjuna, this state of being is also known as, aka also known as, what is it known as? He says in the 72nd shloka, Esha Brahmi Sthitih Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati Sthitva Syamanta Kalepi Brahma Nirvana Mrachati. There are 3 points being made in this last shloka. 1. This state of realization is called Brahmi Sthiti, the highest state of existence. Second, it says in this shloka, Na enam prapya vimuhyati. Having reached there, it is not a state that which you slip away from or lose. Once you have reached, you have guaranteed established there. Na enam prapya vimuhyati. And don't lament saying, I have wasted this life. I am already old, I am already aged, and I don't think I have enough time and opportunity. Don't lament on the time lost. Even in the last moment, just before quitting this body, if one comes to understand this and realize this, they are once and for removed from the cycle of birth and death. Swamiji, we should have started with this shloka in the beginning. No? Even these 21 days on the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we would not have wasted. Why? Antakale, in the last moment, we would have spent this time. Unnecessarily, we are coming to this satsanga. Our mind acclimatized to our own patterns, it will shoot only that pattern of thought which we have constantly entertained throughout life. Whatever is the thought intensity that I have entertained, that alone will reflect in the last moment. If during the entire life I have never ever said Rama with intensity, do you think in the last moment it will be Rama? That will never even occur. And the last moment, is it in our hands? Kulashekar Alvar in that beautiful work, Mukunda Mala, he says, how can that last moment be? He says, Kapha Pitta Jwaraihi Piditaha. That I want to say Narayana, but my throat is filled with kapha. I can only cough, nothing else comes. Done. The first time I heard it, it reminded me of the scene in Shankarabharanam. He's singing a beautiful song and in the last moment coughs and dies. There is no Narayana there. So what time I have is here now. Use this diligently, intelligently, and reach to that self within, because by Bhagavan's blessings we have the three important things that are required: Manushyatvam, Mumukshutvam, Mahapurusha Samshrayah. We are already in a human form. Sitting here, it means you have some inquisitiveness for this spiritual life. And we are in the presence of the great master. Having gotten all of this, don't lose this opportunity. Repeat the last Sankalpa Vakya and we would be done with this second chapter. Om Tat Sat Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Sankhya Yogo Nama Dvitiyodhyayah. Is this something that which Bhagavan Krishna created, generated this wisdom? It is no. This dialogue that is happening between Bhagavan Krishna and Arjuna, this particular 72 set of shlokas is called Sankhya Yoga, the second chapter. What has been spoken is not verily the words of Krishna that he has created. He has consolidated the thought of the Vedic literature, Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre, from the Vedic literature, Brahma Sutras and the Upanishads, and consolidated that thought for the ease of understanding for Arjuna and presented this thought. What is the essence of it? Om Tat Sat Iti. To understand that my true nature is that existential reality which is often indicated through the word Om. To understand it, revel in it, is the very purpose of this Bhagavad Gita. We will continue this with the third chapter next month. The dates will be announced and it will be when I have a couple of trips in between because of the October. There is a beautiful program as a culmination and some responsibilities of that coordination have been given. So there are a couple of trips. So I'll iron out those trips and then announce the dates. It will be after the 5th of August, 5th or 7th of August. Then we will have 1 week long the discourse on third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is the Karma Yoga Rahasya. We will go into that. We will stop now. After the Shanti Mantra is done, then you all can come with the Guru Dakshina. There is the 2 boxes in the end. Those have to be brought in here. So you can drop the Guru Dakshina in those boxes. I will give you the Yajna Prasada. After that, don't leave immediately. We will have Arati, and after Arati, we will have the Prasada outside.